Notable people who foresaw their own deaths. Number 1. Martin Luther King Jr. Perhaps the most renowned illustration of somebody seeming to realize that they plan to kick the bucket is that of Martin Luther King Jr. In April 1968 he went to Memphis to loan his help to a strike by African American specialists who were fighting the reaction of the city to the incidental passings of two receptacle men. Lord Jr. was a man used to confronting dangers to his life as the most noticeable face of the battle for racial correspondence in the U.S., yet in spite of that there was something really unfavorable about the discourse he gave in the Mason Temple the evening of April 3. Citing from the Bible, King Jr. told the amassed swarm that had been to the highest point of the mountain and had seen the guaranteed land of uniformity on the opposite side, guaranteeing them that they would make it there. Anyway, he added guaranteed land and called attention to that while he might want to live for quite a while, he was not stressed over that or his destiny. The next night he was shot dead on the gallery of his lodging, and his last discourse proposed that he detected that something planned to happen to him, however, that he was inclining toward his confidence for strength. Number 2. Mark Twain. Writer Mark Twain needed to address misrepresented reports of his demise in 1897, prompting quite possibly the most habitually rehashed cites ever, yet what is less notable is that he really made a shockingly exact forecast about when he would pass on. The maker of amazing anecdotal characters Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn was brought into the world in 1835, which was likewise a year in which Halley's Comet showed up. This comet makes some circling memories of approximately 75 years, approaching Earth again toward the finish of that time frame, and Twain appeared to realize that his fate was attached to its circle. Not long before it was because of show up, in 1910, he was cited as saying that, misrepresented sadly, this end up being all around exact an expectation of occasions, as Twain was to pass on 21st April of that year. While some have called attention to that the circling time scale of the comet is like the normal human life expectancy, we don't all live for precisely 75 years, so that doesn't actually clarify the conjecture. If you like what you see, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. Number 3. Buddy Holly. Mate Holly was the first in a long queue of skilled stone artists to kick the bucket youthful, and clearly he had some preemptive guidance that this would have been his destiny. Holly passed on in a plane accident on February 3, 1959, close by J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson and Ritchie Valens, while they were participating in the winter dance party visit through the Midwest. However, a long time before the visit started, Holly and his significant other Maria Elena both had alarming dreams that appeared to be revealing to them something. A long time later, Maria Elena expressed that she had encountered a clear bad dream where she was remaining in a field and saw a fireball tumble to earth, leaving a consuming cavity in the ground. At the point when she woke up in a condition of stun, Buddy disclosed to her that he had additionally had an abnormal dream in which he was taking off from her on a plane, with the inclination that he would not have returned to see her once more. The way that the two of them had these abnormal plane and crash-related dreams simultaneously, days before his lethal excursion, is an exceptionally odd and disrupting fortuitous event. Number 4. Abraham Lincoln. With regards to bad dreams, one in which you show up as a cadaver must be in the front position of ghastliness, and that is what clearly befell previous U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. The evening of 4th April 1865, Lincoln had hit the hay, of course, however the experience he had while sleeping was definitely not ordinary. The following morning he told a companion that he had longed for grievers crying and of a dead body lying in the East Room of the White House. The body was watched by a warrior, and Lincoln asked him who it had a place with. The reaction would have upset anybody, as the trooper said, "The president. He was murdered by a professional killer." That was when Lincoln stirred, exceptionally shaken, for which we can barely accuse him, and he went for tell his companion that he remained the president. He was murdered by a professional killer. By the fantasy. He appears to have detected that this was something more vile than simply eating a lot of cheddar before bed, and he was correct. Lincoln was killed by John Wilkes Booth precisely 10 days after the fact, on 14 April. Number 5. Indira Gandhi. Driving a nation unavoidably implies that you make a ton of foes, and previous Prime Minister of India Indira Gandhi was the same. 1984 was an especially unpleasant period for Gandhi and the country overall, in light of the fact that throughout the mid-year she had requested the military to storm the Golden Temple in Punjab, which was being involved by Sikh political assailants. This was called Operation Blue Star and prompted high quantities of Sikh passings, just as rankling a ton of their allies. On 30 October, Gandhi gave a discourse like the one made by Martin Luther King Jr., in which she appeared to by one way or another understand what destiny had coming up for her. It incorporated the lines, "I'm here today, I may not be here tomorrow, and I have carried on with a long life, and I am glad that I spent the entire of my life in the assistance of my kin." The next day, Gandhi was expected to be met for a TV narrative, and as she strolled towards the movie producers, who included moderator Peter Ustinov, two of her Sikh protectors shot her to death in retribution for Operation Blue Star.